this has been about Thanatos being a raid boss in the top lane.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the last game for sure, I think, was really heavily about him. And honestly, it's not just the last 2 games. Cloud9 was in a very heavily winning position in game 2, right? Like, this could have been a potential 3-1, and we'll have to see now, what is the draft strategy? Do they just stick with standard bans? I am very much a believer in game 4, game 5, you should target one player and really try to put them down, because so many champions are already missing from the champ pools here. So many people only have 2 or 3 champions left that they've played. If you triple ban someone and then pick one away, it's like, what are you going to do? Do you have something prepared for that? But it does look like we are just going towards standard bans.
Well, the Jace remains banned against Thanatos, and so the Gnar definitely sticks out as being a very prominent pick, but Cloud9 have the luxury of being red side this time, so they could save for red side 5th pick, counter pick. I personally always feel like the momentum and mentality should be in the favor of the team attempting the reverse sweep.
Yeah.
But even so, reverse sweeps are incredibly rare to actually complete. So the stats actually don't work out that much in their favor. Do we have a missed ban here?
Yeah, it looks like the missed ban is actually Rumble,
yeah.
so that's not showing up on the UI right now.
But Rumble is banned.
Yes, FlyQuest did ban Rumble as their 3rd one here in the first half. They will first pick Leona.
Yep, so Leona does obviously go to a lot higher priority because so many of those big engaged supports have already been picked away. We already have seen the Rel, the Nautilus, the Alistar, the Rakan. Those with Leona are kind of the big 5 as far as hard engaged champs, so they are really prioritizing that, and that will be going for it. Gnar will get picked, and this is kind of like the trend in the series. They talked about it on the desk, obviously on Lounge, how it is just FlyQuest saying, all right, yeah, you blind what you want, you play that meta champ, and then Bwipo is going to counterpick you, and we're going to see how it goes.
And Cloud9 saying, yes, we will do that. Both sides accepting the deal here.
I just really question, should you not have just banned out like Gnar, Jace, Rumble, whatever, something like that, and then said, okay, now what do you play Thanatos? Because we know he plays all the meta stuff so well, and we know that Bwipo is kind of that guy who has that deep bag of random champs. So it is really surprising to me that they just decide to stick with tried and true meta bans.
Well, I mean, I would hope that they have something specific ready for the Gnar, because of those 3 champions you named, 2 of them are banned, right? The Jace and the Rumble, both banned away by FlyQuest. They have to know that by leaving the Gnar open, you are saying, we are picking Thanatos' champ for him.
Okay, we get the Ziggs lock in. Okay, are we expecting some solo lane AD picks now to go with this
Looks
Ziggs?
like we might.
Well, this could actually be, mid or bot for both, right? So they could actually flex it based on the matchup, because Ziggs and Trist both play well in both lanes, especially when you're this deep into Fearless. It's not like you're playing against Varus and Nico or something like that. You're not going to be playing against some super dominant 2v2. So Akali being the answer here. Now, this is going to be interesting. What matchup would Quad be more comfortable playing against Loki here? They do have this Sejuani plus Akali, so they have that melee pairing.
Yeah.
That is going to be really tough to deal with. And I wonder, do Cloud9 now focus some bans on the jungle to try to really put Inspired down and try to make sure that they have an advantageous 2v2 no matter where he goes?
I want to see some fun jungle picks here. That's also a role that really does need to get all the way down to Game 5 Fearless to start seeing like Fiddlesticks and stuff actually come up. And
I like the Ivern ban.
Fiddlesticks does reveal Akali in this round. Just saying, Inspired does like that champ. Probably very low likelihood of it. But
I do really like the Ivern ban, though.
Those types of pocket picks, yeah. I mean, Ivern is definitely something that's way more prominent. They've used way more.
Exactly.
It's super good for their team fights that they like to build. And since they're showing the Tristana, which I think is going to be mid, is definitely a prio.
So Jhin going to get banned out. If they want to really limit bot lane, MF still hasn't been played. That's also quite meta. So I do think an MF ban could make a lot of sense. But it's all really down to like adaptation. I think draft becomes so interesting, and it really makes the coach's job a lot harder, because you can't just like parrot drafts that other people have done. You can't even look at like, oh, what are other teams drafting Game 5, because the picks are going to be different throughout the series. So you have to be able to adapt. You have to be able to find picks that really work well for your players. But beyond that, you have to still make sure that your composition is cohesive and actually can function against what your opponents are drafting. So Lilia as that ban, I do think double AD ban could make sense. MF to me is the one that's kind of like screaming out to me as something that has not yet been played and should be taken off the table.
Yep, that is the one that was on the list when the analysts were looking over things in terms of the champions that Zven has played so far this split. That's the one that he has the most games on. Yeah, exactly. So banning that one away, I totally agree with that.
Caitlyn or something like that. Maybe you're looking towards some sort of bot lane like, you know, a Caitlyn plus range poke. We haven't seen Karma, so you could go like Caitlyn Karma or something along those lines. Zeri as a hyper carry is still up and available. Those are the two that I'm thinking of.
Zeri got buffed. All right, let's see it. Definitely has been a Zven champion in the past. Has some good pairings available for it too, so.
Yeah, Lulu hasn't even been played, and Lulu's not banned. So you could even do Zeri Lulu or like Zeri Yumi or whatever in a game 5. Like there are so many bot lane champs that you can always go to.
I mean, that was a rough win rate, though, when the numbers popped up there on screen. Zeri having been played 7 times so far this split with a record of 1-6.
But who played it? We have to investigate. Because sometimes, you know, if it's a bottom team versus like FlyQuest and C9, they're probably going to lose anyway.
Scheduled loss.
Exactly, scheduled loss. So,
ooh, we get Lee.
Inspired. Lee Gragas as the top side here. This is spicy. Some really good engage from the FlyQuest side. Leona, Gragas, and Lee Sin all there. And it is the expected Lulu with that Zeri pairing. This is exciting. This matchup really feels like, can you get in onto Zven and take him down? Because Zven is such an obvious target, and there's so many forms of engage. And if you can lock Zven down, then you have the Ziggs ult coming over the top. You have all of these tools to try to burst them out. But if you can't, that is going to be very tough. And you're trying to fight through the Akali with the Shroud, the Gnar, and the Sejuani with the Lulu backing up this Zeri.
FlyQuest has so many yeet buttons. Gragas will knock you out of where you want to be. Lee will knock you out of where you want to be. Tristana will knock you out of where you want to be. Ziggs will slightly adjust your position to the side a little bit. 4 out of 5 of these champions are knocking your champs around, and that can be very effective at breaking up these protect the president type of comps that you normally play with something like a Zeri.
And when you've got a Ziggs bottom lane there, you can get a lot of roam time out of Busio. And Busio first pick Leona for a reason. Having that playmaker to go around with a Lee Sin is a really potent support and jungle duo roam there.
Non-subscribers, we'll see you in 30 seconds. For everybody else, I am so excited that for the first time this year, we are going to a Game 5 here on the LTA stage. Gentlemen, which draft are you going to give the advantage to in this one? Who do you like a little bit better?
I feel like what C9 has is easier to play out, but there's so much agency over on the FlyQuest side, and I do think when you're playing at this level, having the ability to be the ones to start the fights out more consistently is going to get you that edge, so I feel like I give the slight advantage to FlyQuest, but it's down to execution.
Kobe, how we feeling?
I'm feeling FlyQuest, but I want to see if Blaber with this Sejuani can make some explosive plays. I mean, you have a lot of CC. You have an Akali mid lane and Thanatos on one of his main champions. We have seen what Thanatos does on these champs. The last couple of games for Cloud9, he's been a beast.
So we have 61 times had a 5-game best of 5, only 13 reverse sweeps. The last one back in 2022 summer. With TL reverse sweeping CLG. So it has been a long time. They are not very common. You know, it's interesting to talk about. You know, when I've talked to players and when I've talked to people about this, largely the conclusion people come to is that, you know, when you're down 0-2, it is incredibly stressful and it's like so much mental energy being put in. And then you're going to this long series where you're always at the precipice of losing. And that sometimes you can kind of just run out of gas. You can get a little bit too exhausted by the time it goes to Game 5.
All right, once more, nothing crazy at level 1. Both teams happy to just do things standard as we toss things down to Jat, who's standing by for a dual interview with Reaper and Nuke Duck.
Both head coaches, Game 5 of Fearless. I have to ask, do you think you won this Game 5 draft because they can get crazy, and why?
I think it's a pretty fair draft. They have a stronger early game, and so they need to, like, you know, get objectives and stuff. And we have the scaling one, so I think it's a pretty fair draft overall. Yeah.
Same question to you, Reaper. Did you win draft, and why?
Pretty hard to say because obviously, like, both sides have strengths on the draft. Like, they have 4 knockups to team fight, and then we have flankers. Like, there's lots of things are going on, so probably it's gonna be like just team fight draft, 5v5, yeah, 50-50.
Okay, thank you very much. I just have to ask about the Gnar. How surprised are you that you got Gnar in Game 5 of a Fearless for Thanatos, his most played champion in the regular season?
Well, I mean, kind of expected to having a Gnar on the game 5, because FlyQuest banned Jace at the game 4, and then we still have a pocket pick on the Jace and like those kind of aggressive top laners. So Gnar is somewhat like middle gray area. So I thought we were gonna get Gnar, yeah, at the game 5.
Appreciate it. The Nuke Duck, it's fine if you don't have anything, but any final thoughts before we head back to casters?
Not really, yeah. Just should be a fun game.
Thank you, Nuke Duck. Thank you, Reaper. Let's get back to the game.
It's going to be a fun game, absolutely. Both coaches feeling pretty good about their draft, but also pretty good about their opponent's draft. So
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see how it goes. But we got to check back in at this predictions mega graphic that we have. Almost everyone predicting FlyQuest here. Only the 3 Cloud9 members and then Licorice, who's on the desk, out of all the pros.
An ex-Cloud9
that
member.
we exactly an ex-Cloud9 member. Out of all the pros that we did poll, predicted Cloud9, and this has gotten very close. And you said this earlier, Flowers. It's almost 0 even game 5 predictions. Everyone was like 3-1, 3-0 in a FlyQuest, so very heavily favoring towards them. But this has been a very even series. Cloud9 take the last 2 games, almost took game 2 as well. And I think we really are in for a very exciting final one.
Inspired on this Lee Sin, going to step up into the face of Blaber here. A lot of times we like to see junglers fight over second spawns of chicken camps, or at least the vision around that area to try to contest it when it does spawn. Instead, going to go ahead, toss the ward over the wall into the Krug pit just to keep an eye on when that one will be attempted again by Blaber. Topside Scuttle Crab was secured by Blaber. Bot side the same. Blaber's Crabbers off to a good double seafood start.
Yeah, and a lot of junglers do like Lee Sin into Sejuani. He has so much mobility. You can go over the Conqueror build. And actually, at the beginning of this match, fun fact, Vulcan was spam pinging the Lee Sin pick. So they definitely have their eyes on Inspired here. Meanwhile, Busio, we talked early about, hey, he's paired with a Ziggs. He's going to get a lot of roam time. The Leona roam time up to the top side does match Vulcan, who's kind of hovering behind his mini Gnar. The 2 Yordles here. Still, if you combine them, it's not as big as one Gragas still.
No, probably not even as big as Gragas' belly. But Vulcan does have to try to shadow these plays and be around, anticipating where Busio is going to go. Lulu kind of can't flex her muscles the same way that Leona can, trying to force things to happen. But she can tell Leona to sit down, go back to bottom lane, go back to farming, have a nice peaceful
Turn into a
game.
friendly critter.
Yeah. Just turn into a frog or a cupcake or whatever she turns people into. I feel like they change the critters sometimes depending on the skin. But now Busio's making his way back down towards that bottom lane. Massu's got control over the push, as you would expect, with the additional AoE and range of the Ziggs compared to the Zeri, especially early on. FlyQuest controlling this bottom side river, just clearing out some vision. Inspired goes back to farming.
And you can tell Zven is kind of showing us what type of lane he thinks it's going to be. He grabbed the early call here. He's just going to be looking to scale up. Bwipo on that top side has picked up a lot of mana. And generally, once you get through those early couple levels on Gragas in these kind of matchups, it's very easy to neutralize. You get back to base. If things haven't gone bad, you buy some mana, and then you just have infinite Qs to be able to spam out. You have your passive to be able to sustain up. And I know Bwipo is also a really big fan of Roa on Gragas, so it'll be interesting to see, if he is just going to go for tier Roa, double scaling, because he is really a big believer in Catalyst and feels like if you can get to Catalyst on Gragas without actually getting into a really bad spot, he believes you win almost every matchup on this champ from that point.
And sustain is also a big thing on the mind of Ziggs players. That's why he went for the Lost Chapter, get to that break point, get his refillable potion, and use his teleport to get back to lane as well. One of the few bottom laners that does bring teleport to competitive matches to immediately get back out. So,
Zenith Blade on the Blaber over the wall. FlyQuest is going in for the first play, but they're taking a lot of damage in the process. First blood over to Blaber as it's a 1-for-1. Now they've locked up Loki. Massu flashing forward away from the C9 reinforcements as Busio just keeps him tied up for the Mega Inferno Bomb, and Zven's not getting anything else. FlyQuest completely dominate the early skirmish.
it is a banger, a bloodbath to start out game 5. Flowers through the jungle, and FlyQuest get the feats with the first 3 kills.
I really love how they played this. They don't show Busio, and Inspired is saying, no, I'm just doing the crap here. I don't know that you're around. Quad jumps over the wall. They all go in. They do get the initial kill onto Inspired. They're able to finish him off, but Blaber not able to flash over the wall. Then when Zven and Vulcan arrives, you think, hey, could they actually make this happen? Zven's in a pretty good spot, but Busio goes back in. They get stunned up. They're all stacked in. they get slowed by the quad jump and AoE'd by the Ziggs. That was massive.
Yeah, it's actually, people always joke about the Malphite Tristana Ws, but when you have the Ziggs bomb with you, it's actually better than a Malphite ultimate right on top. And the two of those kills went into that Tristana, into Quad, who now has rotated down to the bottom side with his lead.
And when you take into consideration, Reaper talking about, oh, we're the more early game draft, Nuketalk touching on that Cloud9 needs to be the one stacking objectives. Cloud9 needs to be the one, out to that early advantage. It is really concerning to give over 3 early kills like that to get Quad to this point where he already is kind of off to the races. And you can see it on Zven's face when that fight went bad. You see the player replay, and yeah, he looks frustrated. He looks a little bit worried because you know what that can mean for the game.
Yeah, very, very tough stuff to have to start off that way, and especially tough when FlyQuest is now able to follow it up with yet another grub play. That is, I believe, 4 out of 5 of the games now that FlyQuest has controlled a majority of grubs in. It'll be all 3 for Inspired and FlyQuest here in game number 5 as they continue controlling neutrals. However, the Drake has been started up by Blaber. We'll see if C9 can try to take this or if FlyQuest is ready to fight for it.
Yeah. They got to remain focused here. Cloud9 trying to get their trade on the other side of the map, and they should do so pretty easily as you got the resets from the side of FlyQuest. So at the very least, they'll be able to end up with that. But it's already the Ludens completed super early off the early skirmish there. Massu went back to base. This Ziggs is going to do so much burst damage here. First to the first item.
Yeah, he's got that, and Yuntal now completed as well for Quad on his first base, so definitely feeling really good about their position in this game. They're able to grab the grubs. They should have push. And when you have grubs plus Tristana and Ziggs, 2 of the best tower killers in the entire game already, it just makes it that much easier to extend that gold lead. And you can see Massu and Busio heading straight up towards bot. They're going to be looking to put some pressure on Thanatos and his tower.
I mean, we talk about gold leads all the time, but really what gold leads are is item leads. As Bwipo now finds himself on the wrong side of a Gnar, but it's Thanatos having a flashback away as Quad and Busio are ready to join the fight. Quad with that Yuntal. Thanatos has boots and a Doran's. He knows he doesn't want anything to do with this fight.
This is going to turn into some tower damage here. It looks like Thanatos will stick around with Vulcan, though. He's got that safety, and you can see on the mini-map, Sejuani is coming over to Krugs anyway, so Blaber can shadow.
I just love this, right? Quad becomes the bot laner, Massu becomes the mid laner. He's just going to be parked mid, wave clearing on the Ziggs, and Quad moved top with Busio, just kind of acting as that duo to put pressure on the turret here. Is going to be the more effective 2v2 at this point in the game. So this is just great from FlyQuest. Great lane assignments. They send Bwipo down towards bot. He pushes that. You can see Thanatos TPs to match. So Bwipo's just going to base and move again, and they're going to keep resetting the lane assignments to get the ones that they want. It's going to be Bwipo going up to top to match the Akali, and they're going to send Quad again down to keep pressure on Thanatos. So this is just really smart stuff, and because they have the tempo, they're the first ones to make the swap, so they're always going to be able to choose what the lane assignments are.
Okay, Zven just continuing to try to scale on the Zeri here. 20 stacks left on the Cull, so has that one mostly paid for, but still, this is just another example of the early advantage manifesting itself for FlyQuest. We already touched on Luden's Companion, first fully completed item done for anyone in the game there for Massu. Because Zven stopped off to get level 1 boots. Hold on, we don't even have time to finish talking about it. Goodbye, Massu! The last shot in the air, and Zven picks him up. Nicely done.
Those are the snap plays that we're talking about for Sejuani, for Blaber there. He gets in, they nail the ultimate, and they are rewarded for their kill here, taking out that Ziggs pressure. See what they can chain it into, because Bwipo, again, after that reset you're talking about, works away on the turret plate. Bottom side is the same thing. The grub value is just through the roof.
Yeah, I mean, it's fantastic. You get a good kill there on mid lane onto Massu, but you don't get his flash or anything like that. He clears out most of the wave, and you're taking plates in both top and bot. So honestly, not bad for FlyQuest still at the end of the day. But there are no cleanses over on the team. There's no natural Mikhail's builder or anything like that. So Blaber is going to have the opportunity to really be able to put things on. And now they're just going to try to pressure Thanatos. They know he has no flash, he has no TP. They just want to zone him off and farm these plates.
Oh, man, this one's going to hurt for the turret. Quad just going to go ahead, start rapidly auto-attacking that thing, as Bwipo can use his AoE to soften up the minion wave. Quad strapping an explosive charge to the tier 1 turret now. Should be able to detonate that 4th plate relatively easily. And there it is. More plate money for FlyQuest.
So much pressure.
Yeah, it's a small thing, but notice how he saved the explosive charge until the minion wave arrived, so he can actually detonate that on the wave, clear out the wave at the same time he's hitting the tower. Just these small little things to keep that push going, to keep that pressure going. Massu's pushing down there. Inspired covered the wave on bot side. They're just moving around the map very effectively, but that being said, it's still an incredibly close game.
The other thing I want to highlight is during these times where they have the push waves, you're getting Busio use those timers to go in through the jungle to place the wards between these lanes that are going to be rotated to. And so they're setting up the vision for the next plays while they're getting all this extra pressure onto the towers as well.
500 gold lead is all that's there for FlyQuest, but again, it's still more about items than anything. Roa, now completed for Bwipo, has the tier about halfway charged as well. Eclipse done for Inspired on the Lee Sin, so looking to be very scrappy with that item early on here as well. 2 minutes until the Herald spawns, less than 1 on the second Drake of the game. Remember that C9 did secure the first one for themselves.
And while obviously there's a very good scaling with the Gragas, the Tristana, the Ziggs, I will say it's a really hard game to actually play Lee Sin when you're there against a Lulu. I always feel like Lulu is such a good neutralizer. When you're going in for these kick flash plays, you Q forward, you just get polymorphed, and all of a sudden you can't move, you can't do anything, something falls up, and you just die.
Oh, speaking of not being able to move or do anything, Bwipo thought he was going to get a quick trade onto Loki. C9 knows that he's going to go for those types of plays and immediately punish him.
A crafty trap was laid right there. Loki looking juicy, and Blaber already lying in wait inside the Dragon Pit. And these types of plays right before the objective spawns are what you need, because otherwise your map is just collapsing in on you. As you can see, the top tower is gone. Quad finishes his work.
I mean, C9, another good kill, but every time they go for one of these plays, they're losing stuff elsewhere. They lost the plate mid, and they lost the tower top at the same time. And now Massu is going to be pretty close. A couple autos and a satchel, and this thing could be gone because plates just fell, so that tower now is very vulnerable. Zven is low, too.
Okay, Inspired looking to steal away the dragon. Not going to find it. Blaber with the smite secures that one. So 2 drakes to none, favoring C9. However, the feat of warfare, the feat of towers, both already claimed by FlyQuest, so they've got the enchanted boots. Except nobody, okay, never mind. At least Massu and Busio do have the tier 2 shoes. I was about to say, everybody's just got brown bag shoes, so nobody actually has any enchantments yet. But there's another turret going the way of FlyQuest.
The upgrade.
Yeah,
it just hasn't come in the mail yet.
Exactly.
They're on the way. Yeah, it was another example of another dragon going their way. And Blaber, this is another time in this series where he was the one with the upgraded smite. He has 1,200 smite right now. So even though you're used to seeing Lee Sin use QQ smite steals, to the 1,200 here for Blaber just trumps it. And so he's able to get it before the Lee Sin comes in for the steal. So nice job again from him. Again, paying off these little breakpoints of farming your camp so you can get that upgraded smite prior to the objective does have a meaningful effect. That being said, again, all your outer towers are gone for Cloud9, and that's what resulted in this gold lead for FlyQuest.
And if you lose all your outers before you get the Herald, it's always scary, because then it's such an easy way to go to the side lane, drop that, and especially with Ziggs, you drop it, it nearly gets it in satchel range, and we know those outer tier 2s, you know, top lane, bot lane, are worth so much gold that it's this huge injection of gold that's just waiting to be claimed here from FlyQuest.
It's just a 1-2 punch that pays almost 4 digits immediately, and it's very difficult to respond to, as Thanatos going to get this wave crashing, colliding into the bot lane tier 1 turret down here. Mega Inferno Bomb from all the way away. Helps back Bwipo up so that he's able to clear the wave out and guarantee this turret stays standing for a FlyQuest squad that is 1,500 gold ahead of C9.
It's also interesting, Bwipo, you're not going to go for Archangels. He is going to go for the more conservative build. You know, feels, hey, maybe I'm a little bit behind, or maybe I just need to be a little bit more tanky. But we haven't been seeing people, you know, go this build as much lately. Obviously, you know, was really popular at the start of the season, got nerfed a number of times, and people kind of always started going more towards the Archangels when they were playing it.
We're also getting closer and closer to second items coming online now. You can see the BF sword in the inventory for Quad. Double Fiendish Codex there for Massu Ziggs. So everybody just continuing to move forward towards these next power spikes. 3 minutes until Otacon spawns. Still got a couple of minutes until the next dragon is live as well. The Otacon pit, of course, being just such a focus for FlyQuest throughout this entire series. A lot of times you see teams be a little bit hesitant around it because of the amount of damage it can put out. But FlyQuest just seems to be very confident in how they play around that objective specifically.
Yeah, and the setup should be in the favor of FlyQuest since they're the ones that constantly are getting the push, and there's no defensive towers outside there for Cloud9. So they get to use the extra teleport that... Wait a second, they got to play?
Yeah, Busio could be in some trouble here. Nice catch from Blaber and Thanatos, but a flash over the wall keeps the FlyQuest support alive.
Blaber has been on it with this Sejuani, constantly finding these plays with his ultimate. Busio does have Hex Flash, so it's not like the biggest flash to actually get, since it is the Leona and has that kind of backup, but the cooldown for Blaber's ultimate is low enough, it'll be back for Dragon anyway, which is always the point why you're going for these plays.
Exactly, yeah. The timing on it was really good, and like you said, he's been on point with it, but he has to be. He is their only real engage, right? Sure, you can look for a Gnar flank or something like that, but like he is the go button. There's no cleanse, there's no Mikhails. He has got to find good Sejuani ultimates onto Quad and Massu to set up Loki, because Loki's already quite behind. You really are looking for that kind of dynamic duo, get in there in the back line, have Thanatos come in, be able to finish people off really, really quick.
Okay, Busio diving in here, trying to help Inspired as they invade for the red buff. Vulcan takes a little bit of damage, already used the wild growth to keep himself nice and healthy. Massu trying to fire into the mix, but now Thanatos has forced his way into the fight to zone the FlyQuest AD carry out. FlyQuest having some dents in the health bars now, forced to back away.
Yeah, they do get double TP down, but Bwipo had to flash out immediately after arriving there. So, it is kind of minus that flash. You do get the heal on the other side, but I do think at the end of the day, Cloud9 are going to be happy about how things turned out.
Okay, 45 seconds, though, until the next Drake spawns. Now, if Cloud9 gets this, now you're in a 3-0 Dragon condition, right? Now you're at soul point. You're feeling really good moving forward. And I think if you're FlyQuest, you have to be painfully aware of that, really wanting to make sure that you're not kind of put in that spot where you have to respond to every Drake for the rest of the game, especially when you're already 1,500 gold ahead, when you're already at a couple of really strong power spikes. The Fimbulwinter not fully evolved yet. Still Winter's approach for another 40 mana here for Bwipo. Meanwhile, down in the bottom lane, Horizon Focus completed from Massu's Zven, or not from Massu's Zven, from Massu's Ziggs, as that means he's got a distinct advantage over Zven right now.
Yeah, and it's that newly buffed Horizon Focus as well.
Yeah, okay, so there is a lot of steal potential, though, with a Lee Sin and a Ziggs. So FlyQuest are going to come over. They could look for the steal. They could look for the fight. Herald actually gets popped down for mid first.
Okay, Thanatos has just transformed back into Mini Gnar. The Mega Gnar not ready to be used again for a little bit longer as Blaber goes for the flash potential play here on Massu, but he's not going to find the chance to do a whole lot more with it. Quad is free firing onto Blaber, who goes over the wall, but he's going to be killed by Busio's Ignite. Busio's low, but it's a second kill back over to FlyQuest. The Drake over to FlyQuest. C9 still trying to fight back, but Thanatos has to disengage. He's nearly ready to transform, but is it going to do anything at all? The Gnar bar sitting at 95% as the remaining 3 players on C9 hobble away. FlyQuest will stop the stack for Soul. They will win 2 kills, and now they're going to follow it up with another 20-minute Otacon start.
It's Otacon on spawn every single time, it feels like. As Blaber got very aggressive there, he tries to look for this kind of cute flash ulti onto Massu, tries to get around his opponents, drift to the side, flash him with the Q, nail the ulti, but no one was there to follow it up. Like, look at where Loki is. Loki is the one who's supposed to follow up and be able to kill that off, but you can't be going for that play that far ahead of where the Akali is ready.
There has to be some miscommunication on that one. Looking at the map positions when you snap engage, because like you're saying, Akali is the burst damage. That's the assassin for the back line that needs to follow up there. Also, Thanatos was Mini Gnar. So many of these C9 conditions that they need to be met to have the advantage in the team fight were not met.
Yeah. I mean, it's game 5. It's a lot of pressure, and he was trying to look for that engage, and now it's Bwipo coming in.
Oh, Busio, nice stun there on Zven. Forces out the cleanse from the Zeri. Not going to have that defensive tool moving forward here, but honestly, of all the times that you could end up losing the Summoner Spell, right now is fine. Bwipo hitting 1,000 in a career all-time assists this game with the Gragas.
That was a big bomba. That he got some good assists off that one. You saw Blaber go down from it. You saw the Akali also going down from it immediately, kind of spreading there. And now FlyQuest, after getting just control of the single dragon, relieving any sort of pressure of Cloud9 early dragon stacking, have a lot of control now, a lot easier choices as they move towards the mid game.
Absolutely, and Quad basically has IE gold whenever he wants to go back for it, so should have that finished. Yep, there it is. So now you're looking, there's 2 items kind of across the board, and this is that point where you absolutely will not want to fight for C9, because you look at mid, you look at jungle, you look at top, they're all 1 item in pieces. Their counterparts have all finished their itemization, right? So Cloud9 needs to look for a window to fight, but it has to be once they complete their second items before FlyQuest gets their third, and we'll see if they can find that. You know, I also have to point out, Ziggs going to be working towards that death cap. When you get that third item death cap in, your ultimate is so dangerous. You know, 1 CC, 1 lockdown on someone like Zven could mean they just go down.
Especially when you've also got just the bonus extra damage from the upgraded boots here as well. Very scary stuff here from Massu with the Ziggs. Top lane tier 2 turret under half HP. FlyQuest don't quite get it low enough to blow up the remainder of it with the Ziggs satchel, but 1 or 2 more auto attacks here should be able to put it in range. Massu gets the empowered one there, and sure enough, there it is. Satchel takes it down.
Yeah, 1 or 2 normal person auto attacks or 1 Ziggs passive bomb. Those short fuses are crazy. Meanwhile, they have the luxury of still having those triple teleports for later on into the game. And so with the destructive power of Ziggs and Tristana and the triple teleport here, does feel like the ability for FlyQuest to constantly keep the pressure on Cloud9 is going to necessitate a huge surprise C9 vision play. You've got to clear out the vision. You have to clear out the vision, and Blaber has to full send. Thanatos has to get his Mega Gnar before, has to be Mega ready when the play goes off, and you have to get multiple members.
And we know how Bwipo loves to create space, you know, based on his itemization, based on his power spikes. He now has, you know, both his items fully stacked, and he has the Seekers, right? So this, to me, is screaming out next fight. He's looking for an E-Flash. He's going to try to, you know, full combo in Zven, almost guaranteed. And he's going to force you to respect that. And then when you all turn on him, in goes the stasis that is just buying time for Quad. That's buying time for Massu. That is how he loves to play. You know, he doesn't care if he dies in the fight, as long as the team is going to win. He's going to try to really draw as many possible resources towards him.
Yeah, it's going to be difficult for Loki to get past him. That big body, the ulti coming through, knocking him around. You know, Loki's burst damage is a big part of, hey, we got to kill Quad. We got to kill Massu. If Bwipo is the bouncer, it's going to make it hard.
Akali might have 4 dashes, but Gragas' big old belly has priority over pretty much every dash in the game of League of Legends. It is very strong stuff. FlyQuest, let's check in on some summoner spells here. Considering we've got less than 30 seconds until both the Dragon and the Baron are alive, FlyQuest has everything except for Massu's teleport specifically. C9 has everything.
Yeah, and Massu needs 500 gold for Death Cap, so he will not have it for this fight. But it looks like C9 want nothing to do with it. They are just going to give up this Dragon. Will only be the second here for FlyQuest, so not really concerned yet about any sort of stack towards Soul. They've got a lot of time, and they're going to wait here very likely for an IE, for Zven. They want that third item for Zeri. Of course, they have Zeri Lulu. Yes, there's great skilling on the other side, but one great fight from Zeri Lulu, we have seen it 1,000 times before. You can have a Zeri moment, you can get a pentakill. Any game is winnable with that duo if you're able to create space for Zven to constantly attack.
Yep, Zven has Cleanse, and his support has the Shirelias, plus is Lulu, so tons of extra speed on it. Definitely want to set up to see if they can grab it, but Infinity Edge really is the key. Definitely need those big crits.
And the other thing is, it's Loki and Thanatos have got to get in there and create chaos, right? Because otherwise, you can't win a fight as Zven where every single thing is just thrown towards you. Like, you have to put pressure on the back line. You have to be pushing Quad and Massu out. You have to be making the job difficult for those carries on the FlyQuest side, and that's where, you know, that top side for C9 really comes into play. If they're creating chaos, if they're making the FlyQuest team scatter and run, then Zven is just going to chase you down. He's going to get hit with the Whimsy, he's going to get hit with the Shirelias, he's going to have the ulti move speed, and he's going to be able to chase down and get those kills, but it's tough because it's only Blaber that really has that opportunity to engage, and FlyQuest are just starting this. Blaber saw it, but they're just hitting it.
Yeah, Blaber has had a couple of really solid Glacial Prisons so far this game, but he's going to need another one here soon as FlyQuest not doing a ton of damage here to the Baron, just kind of trying to draw C9 in.
FlyQuest, again, they have a lot of displacement abilities that you highlighted in Champ Select. So there's some worlds where you're like, okay, we're going to use Tristana ult and Gragas ult and
TP.
a bunch of stuff, but they actually can run straight through mid now. Mid is wide open.
Yeah, I mean, that's fantastic. They get the TP out, and they were just on really good item timings right now. So they're saying, okay, if we can force you into a fight, that's great. If we can't, we don't have to commit. At the very least, we can try to force out a TP. C9 didn't maintain good vision in the pit, so Thanatos TP's over, gets a little bit nervous, and now you are down that one teleport when FlyQuest is playing 3. So now it's only Loki who can really answer side lanes for now. So he has got to go bot and be able to be the one covering there, which makes things a little bit more dicey for Cloud9.
All right, Thanatos. Let's see if he can manage to get some money from this top lane tier 1 turret. You know he'd like to, but Quad does not want to allow that to happen. He'll be able to step up and clear this wave with plenty of time to spare. Blaber, meanwhile, secures the super-powered post-20-minute Scuttle Crab here in the topside river for the burst of vision. Keep an eye on things. Make sure FlyQuest doesn't try this again. Yeah, Loki is behind enemy lines here. Inspired just walks right past him and heads straight over to the red buff. Loki is not interested in the Lee Sin. He's hoping to find one of these carries in the jungle instead.
Yeah, that's not the kill I'm looking for.
Nope.
No.
Let that one pass by. Doesn't look like he will find anything, though. So it is going to be all about setting up for the next objective. Constantly, though, FlyQuest are just happy to keep this pace, keep their income flowing.
Yeah, critically, IE now done here for Zven. You can see Seekers ready for Loki. But on the other side, third items are obviously coming through. We already had that third item Death Cap done for Massu before they even started the Baron.
Yeah.
Now the Zonias is done in the top lane there for Bwipo. And we can see Last Whisper coming in for Quad. So the carry's still ahead of the pace, but not so much that I think a fight is unwinnable by any means here for Cloud9 because you have 3 item on both the bot laners. And, you're 2.5 on both those mid laners right now. So Cloud9 definitely do have a chance, but they're going to have to really be careful about what window they choose. Because if you lose a fight and the respawn timers are even kind of long, like your base is just getting one shot by this team.
Yeah, the Tristana Ziggs combination is just so dirty when it comes to taking structures. Everything collapses like paper mache. 3.5 thousand gold lead for FlyQuest. 2-2 on the Drakes, and that next one is spawning in under a minute and a half now. It's been a very quiet previous few minutes. You can tell it's game 5. You can tell that both teams are saying not yet. It's not the moment. If this was game 1 or 2, we'd probably have some more random PvP in between these objectives just to push the limits, see what you can get away with. Not in game 5. Not when it's all on the line. As you can see, Blaber, again, just having to step back. The zone control from Massu here with the Ziggs. Pretty extreme with the damage that he's putting down range.
Because there's so much anticipation for the next fight, I feel like Guardian Angel for Inspired is just going to be so crazy if they can get it. Having that revive, having that extra life. Bwipo going for a little bit of a playtime.
Yeah. Trying to put a little bit of damage into Blaber. Now, you don't want to overcommit onto the Sejuani. Meanwhile, Loki versus Inspired off to the side. And the Akali's losing the 1v1. Inspired smacks Loki down below half HP. Blaber also taking a significant chunk of damage at around half now himself.
Yeah, he gets him chunked down, and it doesn't feel like Thanatos has been able to find those proper timings. He shows up to this fight, but Gnar is expiring as they go for it. So it's not even like Cloud9 can try to commit to the fight. They basically already know they have to back it up. Inspired going to be able to grab the crab here, and he's going to go back in.
Yeah, oh, Quad jumps in. Blaber tries to throw out the Glacial Prison, but he misses. Now Thanatos has lost half HP. Blaber and Vulcan both at half HP. FlyQuest moving into the C9 jungle, looking to continue to take over this space. Loki has gone back and healed. He's now back out at full, but C9 don't ever have everybody with a full tank at the same time.
And no Sejuani ult is actually quite big. I mean, I think it's just going to be Inspired soloing Dragon, while the rest of the team clears out the vision around Baron. That cooldown is a bit too long, so Cloud9 got to focus on, all right, it's okay. It's just Dragon number 3. This is not Soul yet. The game is broken on Soul or Baron here, and they're going to continue looking for the picks around the bigger objective.
The tough part is, when you don't challenge here, you're again getting back into that window where FlyQuest is going to have the additional item completions, right? That gold lead is really going to start manifesting itself. Now the GA gets completed. Now we're going to have that LDR coming through. Now we're going to have all of these extra things getting spent up. Mikhail's now grabbed there for Busio, which I love. Even though he's playing Leona, who cares? Sejuani is their win condition in that she has to nail those carries, and they don't have cleanse, so you are the summoner spell for them. Like, you can die, that's fine. Drop lock it. Mikhail's your carry. Keep them safe. And it is going to be so tough now for Cloud9 with that item completion coming through to be able to get a clean pick on Massu or Quad.
Plus, if it comes down to the objective, it is generally easier for Lee Sin to steal these endgame objectives. So even if you are able to get the setup, it can get super duper risky with only one more having to go over. So C9, they really want to actually pick someone off beforehand.
And I really want to give praises to Inspired's Lee Sin. Blaber having to Arctic Assault back over the wall there. Lee Sin, not a super meta jungler right now. I believe when he locked it in the Champ Select, I said we'd only had, what, 2 games of it so far, or something similar, something very rare along those lines. But just in that last standoff where they secured their ability to take that third Drake uncontested, Inspired won a 1v1 skirmish against Loki, then he won another one against Thanatos. He knocked both enemy solo laners down below half HP. Now he's in their face, stealing away their blue buff.
Yep, it's going to be feeling good, and Quad's going to get aggressive here. Look at the damage onto Thanatos before the explosive charge even goes off. Down to a third HP.
LDR.
This tower is just going to be gone as well. And you see Thanatos was kind of debating, what do I want to build? Do I want to build random wins here? Do I want to build towards the wit's end? You know, started a bit of both, but that means he's going to be very far from his next item completion. He's going to be stuck on 2 in pieces for quite a while.
Man, oh man, C9. It's honestly a pretty low kill game compared to the rest of the series. 5-3, only 8 kills between the two teams. But the gold lead does keep slowly but steadily climbing for FlyQuest.
I mean, basically, you get 3 more minutes here as C9. And in 3 more minutes, you can't say we'll fight the next one anymore. It's got to be you going and making something happen. You cannot allow FlyQuest to just take an uncontested soul here when they're up 4K in this final game.
You don't want to play against Infernal Soul Ziggs with a death cap?
The rewards are a little bit too big if they go next. Here we go, pick!
No, that was a massive catch! Zven is already down! That's the Zeri, that's the hyper carry, that's a teleport now bringing Thanatos straight into the waiting maw of death. C9 lose their most important player right as FlyQuest are ready to start the Baron up.
That might be the game, that might be the series for FlyQuest. Blaber, I mean, he's on red buff. He could like full send a miracle thing here, but it's just, it would be a one-way ticket, and then you would just lose your base afterwards anyway.
Yeah, and both Massu and Busio were waiting there to satchel him back, to stun him up, to never let him in. They would never 50-50 that. FlyQuest finding a massive pick onto Zven. C9 has been pushing it back, saying, you know, we're going to fight later, we're going to fight later, we're going to fight later. But now there may be no later because C9 gets picked, they preempt the fight, they get the kill, they're marching on the base. Loki and Vulcan aren't even there. Zven is still dead. These towers are going to be dead instantly. Double inhib is sure to fall.
Loki is not even recalling yet. Yes, he's got his teleport if he needs to try to use it, but the mid lane inhibitor is already down. Bwipo putting in the work on the top lane tier 3 turret, nearly has that one killed off as well. Now Thanatos in some danger as Bwipo continues the charge forward. Wild growth on Thanatos trying to keep him alive. Zven is back and ready to fight, but now Thanatos has already lost hysterics. He's transforming into Mega Gnar, but he's already got less than half HP. 2 inhibitors down in the C9 base.
And I don't think it's going to get any better for Cloud9 Flowers. It's going to be a quick recall for FlyQuest, and they can return to finish the job. Bottom lane is all that stands left in C9's base, left in this series. Cloud9 really need to pray now.
And you can see at the very least, Cloud9 did get these 3 wards over the Dragon Wall, so they have some potential opportunities here for, you know, maybe a TP flank from Loki or something like that, because they know it's all going to be down to this Dragon. This really is their last hope, but it's so tough when there's still a minute 30 left on this Baron. The Baron is going to be active. You're going to be getting pushed in on all these waves. Quad is already down bot lane. They're going to be threatening triple inhib before Dragon even spawns.
Exactly. I don't think they get a chance to. FlyQuest are coming back to finish the job. Tristana annihilating the minion wave. Here we go. C9, it has to be now.
FlyQuest ready to turn this into a double super minion march in every single lane, or maybe just in the game if the opportunity presents itself. Blaber goes in for an engage, but he only finds Busio. Now Bwipo's leading the charge, and Zven nearly dies yet again. Loki tries to dive into the middle of everybody under the protection of the smoke, but it's not going to matter. There's no firepower to try to back him up. C9 nearly dead everywhere. Quad going on a killing spree. He's ready to reset, and C9 can't get away. Thanatos will die next. Yes, he gets one in retaliation, but what does it matter? FlyQuest go the distance against C9. They take the series 3-2, and they earn themselves a spot in the finals.
Great games 3 and 4 from Cloud9, but FlyQuest control game number 5, and it is all them.
What an exciting series, man. FlyQuest have their ticket to the finals. They will be waiting in that grand finals. But Cloud9, of course, not out of it just yet. They'll be in the lower bracket. And if they play like they played today, they have a very good shot at claiming a rematch next weekend.
That's right. I think a lot of people were probably looking at this upper bracket final as the most likely preview of what the final would be.
Finals looking good.
Final, if it's that again, I would love to see it. Of course, we still have Team Liquid and Shopify waiting to play tomorrow. Winner of that will then play C9 to see who gets the right to face FlyQuest in the finals next weekend. I love the fact that we got to go to Game 5. I'm loving the fact that we got to see stuff like the inspired Lee Sin showing up so big in the last game.
Absolutely. I mean, it's just a pleasure to watch. 5-game Fearless, man. There's so much opportunity to play the games different ways, to show different styles. You know, Thanatos really showcasing his strength in some of these games, playing the meta, playing it incredibly well, and Bwipo saying, you know what, I'm not going to play the meta. I'm going to play my style. I'm just going to go for answering picks. I really do think this final game felt very difficult for C9, though. So much pressure on Blaber to find these angles, and if he couldn't find them, there's no real shot. Just look at this dive on the backline. Massu had Gathering Storm, over 900 AP at this point in the game, by the way. That was through the Lulu shield, and not even like the sweet spot of the ult or anything. Almost under zeros him.
Yeah, they pushed the Zeri out of the team fight. Zven doesn't get very much damage at all, if any, in the fight, and then the Akali's in there by himself. I mean, at this point, though, FlyQuest, their lead was so good. Quad gets to jump forward. Cosplaying Mario here. Goomba stomping all of them. Really, though, the pick that they set up around Baron as well, where Bwipo is waiting in the brush, was quite good. They controlled vision for a good, like, 10 minutes even around the back of that objective.
And that's the scary thing when you give a team like FlyQuest all the agency to start these fights, so much engaged. They found the windows to do it. We are going to be joining Raz at the fan zone for an interview.
That's right, I got the victorious Massu right next to me. First of all, Massu, congratulations on taking that. That was a crazy series. They almost reverse swept you. Your thoughts being on that side of it?
It was definitely nerve-wracking after we lost the second game, so when it was 2-2. But at the same time, you don't have much time to think about it. Like, we're already moved on to the next game, and we're thinking about draft and everything. So it was scary, but you don't have much time to feel nervous because you got to move on already.
How do you get or keep and remain focused? Because especially after they're able to get 2 games on you and pull it to in Game 5, what's something that your coaching staff is telling you guys?
Well, usually we're leaving the review till after the series. Like, the game already happened, we already lost. We made mistakes. So, like, big mistakes we will talk about quickly so we don't make them in the next game. But the other stuff we leave for review, and we try to refresh and already talk about draft.
And I guess congratulations on being able to lock in finals. That's a pretty big thing for you guys. And on top of that, you are now one step away of going back to your home country in Canada and representing you guys, FlyQuest North America and MSI. What's something you are currently looking out for now with like time to spare?
Not much different, honestly. We just need to practice really hard for finals. And I really want to make MSI, so I don't got much time to spare. It's just going to be practice. So, yeah.
You made it clear in content pieces that your drive, your focus, your motivation is international play. What does it mean to you that that international play is going to be in Canada?
It's really nice, especially because a lot of my family and friends are there. So if we make it, a lot of them will be able to come, and it would just be a really nice experience.
And my question to you, this series looked night and day different from the last time you guys faced Cloud9. It was the fastest series in the LTA this year. It looked a lot closer. Do you think that they're going to be making it back to finals?
I think they played way better than they did in the 2-0 series. If they're going to make it, I'm not sure. Like, Shopify and TL, they're both still in playoffs. So, and I think they're honestly ramping up like decently, all teams. So I could see any of those 3 making it to finals. But if I had to pick like a highest probability, probably C9.
Okay. And I guess my last question to you, that was a pretty crazy series. Who do you think should get player of the series?
I'll go with the Inspired or Quad.
Okay, but you have to choose. You have to choose. Gun to your head. You have to choose one.
Inspired.
All right, there we go. You've heard from him. I want to hear game-winning sounds from that last game, and then we're going to send it straight to the lounge after.